enough time for you to consider and see that change, because we think that'll be beneficial in terms of the view shed along Adams Road.
So that's, when I was talking about view shed, I was thinking from the corner. You moved further north up Adams, and the view shed on the northeast portion of this parcel is not as heavily protected as the southeast portion of this parcel is today, and you're looking to make some adjustments to your plan, that's what you're saying?
Move the duplex units back so that we don't have the rear yards of the duplex or the twin units right up against the minimum setback as required by ordinance from Adams Road. So we're going to increase the setback there, which will help preserve the view shed.
Do you want to say at this point whether those are going to be visible from Adams or shielded from that view?
I think they'll still be visible, but they'll certainly be further away. And I think what we all have to remember is that when we're traveling down the road in a vehicle, we don't see at right angles. We see the faster we're going, the narrower that vision line becomes. So even slight changes in the setback reduces the amount of residential you see. And certainly those units are much smaller and shorter than the units across Adams Road.
So they're easier to hide.
So it's going to be a benefit, I think, and I think it will enhance the plan.
It's because you're driving, when you go southbound, going up the hill, where the property line is, and I want to blend the view shed the beautiful view shed you have at Kings Ridge. And as you have that natural part of the view shed of Kings Ridge, and then the manicured and the mixture of the man-made wetlands, where that bridge is at Kings Ridge at the south end, those are all man-made wetlands, those are mitigated wetlands where the boardwalk goes through. I want to kind of extend that vision north all the way through and up to the entryway to Blossom Ridge. I want to give a much greater softening of the curb appeal of the view shed. I want to soften that. I want to continue that soft feel and not do it with hard. At that point, I don't want all of a sudden you hit the Blossom Ridge property line and then you have a berm with pine trees on it. That's not what you need a transition till you get to the entryway. So that's why we want to pull everything much further back west from Adams Road.
I know this would be on a future submittal, but are you anticipating a connection with the boardwalk from a safety path standpoint?
The safety paths are designed already to connect. That's already in the proposal.
Okay.
But it gives you more room to take that safety path and take it way and weave it into the site more, further away from Adams Road, more friendly, more in keeping in character what we've done to the north. So you don't just have the straight safety path that wiggles in it. You have something very undulating and a much more natural setting. And that safety path will then connect into the network of trails in the 45% of the open space in the Blossom Ridge proposal. So that'll all then integrate, and you can then walk from the internal safety path, the internal pathway network in Blossom Ridge to the safety path network without having to go onto a major road or the internal streets of Blossom Ridge.
Yeah, okay.
That will be delivered to the township in the next couple of weeks in time for the January meeting. When would that submittal date be due?
Meeting is the 3rd, I think, right?
Yes.
Tuesday?
Yes.
So 2 weeks prior to that at least, yeah.
Well, plenty of time to do that.
Okay. So when we talk about character, we've got open space, preservation of trees are part of that open space question. We've got view sheds. Wetlands, we do have some mitigation. We do have some loss of wetland, right?
We have some minor wetland crossings that are necessary because of getting our roads connected through. But those will be mitigated as appropriate to meet state and township requirements.
Percentage of current wetland loss that to be mitigated is approximately
1/10 of an acre, 2/10 of an acre.
minor.
Yeah, very little.
but when you mitigate it, you replace it.
Right.
So it's not gonna be lost.
Well, right, but it gets replaced in the form of a detention pond. as opposed to-
Typically, it's 2 to 1. The DEQ likes to say 2 to 3 to 1, so whatever is removed is replaced in a much, usually double.
Right. Commissioners, other questions regarding character or thoughts on how this either does or doesn't fit from a character question? It's one of our standards we have to consider.
The large building, I think that's gonna have to be very, well, we're gonna have to talk about that, because that could look like one big monument if it's not done very, very well. It's gonna be a very large building, of course.
That's a good point, Roger. It's my understanding that you have, looking at this building from, let's say, Dutton, you're looking at this building from Adams, you're looking at this building from the subdivision to the west, and looking at this building from the subdivision to the north. Looking at this building from Adams, I think we've already seen that that's the side that was shortened from 3 stories to 2 stories. And with the berm and with the graphic that we saw with the sight lines from vehicle, at least from ground level at the road, again, you're not going to make it disappear, but it's going to be, the impact is going to be significantly reduced.
Plus the building got moved further away from Adams also, from 150 to 220 feet.
Right, so it's back farther than any other buildings along that corridor currently are. Right, I think is what we saw in that graphic. So I don't know that the mass of this building from Adams Road perspective, I mean, would you be able to see it from the top of the hill on the sidewalk on the other, the safety path, on the other side of Adams? Probably. Would you be able to see it from street level in a car? Probably not. How about the one on Dutton? The view from Dutton looking north towards this building, you've got berms with landscaping on top. Does the berm and the landscaping on top extend down Dutton from Adams to the end of the assisted living building?
Our latest proposal shows the berming being the whole length of Dutton, and will help to screen the units that are adjacent to Dutton.
You're talking about the version we haven't seen yet, that we're going to be seeing?
No. I'm
The
talking about
latest
the
one you
plan
submitted.
the latest plan we put in indicated that it would be berm for the full length of Dutton.
So the
The
intention is
grade
you
where
would,
the entrance is naturally, but we'll continue to berm.
so you wouldn't see the independent living units or the assisted living unit from Dutton? View shed is maintained, other than the
What
entrance
you're going to
way.
see is a similar kind of screen to what you see going down Silver Valley. Difficult to see those condominiums.
On Silver Creek. Yeah, okay. So then the other 2 angles to be concerned with are looking from the west eastward, and you've got trees all along there, is that right?
It's a significant distance, half the distance, more than half the distance, half the width of the property.
Away.
Away, which is a significant distance. We've located that building as far as we can get it away from the residents to the west. That's why it's in the southeast corner of the property.
Same thing from the north there, because you've got the entire 40 acres, well, 30-something acres is in front of you, right? Before that. So the people that would see this big building are the people who live in the duets, as you call them, the independent living units. They're the ones who are going to see it. I think everybody outside of this parcel is gonna have a tough time, not that you couldn't pick it out, but have a tough time seeing this, right?
Could I add too that, as you've seen on some of the elevational drawings that we provided, it's not a flat wall, it's not an institutional kind of building. It's a building with columns and breaks in the fenestration to create an attractive building. So it's not, you can't anyway equate it to the apartments you see on Telegraph at.
Well, I can appreciate that, but I'm also looking at it from the resident's perspective, that any building is worse than any tree, right? So seeing a tree would be better. Seeing a berm with trees on top of it would be better than seeing even the nicest building you could construct. And so, while I appreciate that architecturally, you want to make these attractive, and that's certainly a key here. The reality is, from a rural character, nothing architectural is going to shout rural character unless you're building a farmhouse.
I think we forget trees have lost their leaves and will not have leaves until March or April. So you're going to see what's ever there.
Well, the point of, again, from Dutton and from Adams, you've got a berm with some trees on top. Those trees on top are non-deciduous trees, evergreens. The view from the west and from the north, in addition to whatever trees are there, deciduous or not, you have a great span of distance that puts that much farther away. Again, the standard to me does not make it disappear or make it not visible at all. The standard is to maintain the rural character, and trees are trees, whether they lose their leaves or don't lose their leaves. I have some woods behind my house. The other side of the woods, there are some other houses. I don't see them all year until this time. I don't see them all summer. I know they're there, but now I see them. That's nature.
Right, and I'm glad the audience member brought that up, because I was just trying to think it through myself when I'm looking into the woods in my neighborhood as I walk the dogs every morning like I do in the wintertime. I don't know how far I can see into that forest before there are enough tree trunks that I'm not seeing any farther. But I don't think it's 300 feet before you've lost most of the visibility of anything on the other side of the forest. Might be a little farther than that, of course, depending on whether it's, I'm not sure what kind of forest we're talking about here. The one I'm talking about is sort of a oak, maple, hickory forest. So I don't think it takes too many hundreds of feet to screen a building from foot traffic as you look into a forest.
I would agree. So we have wetlands, we have woodlands, we have a tree preservation obligation on the part of the applicant that far exceeds what we would have with a more traditional single-family residential development. Thank you. Have we seen enough to be comfortable with maintaining the rural character, or is something missing that we still need to see?
I'm wondering, I just have a question as far as the perimeter of the development, if it will be fenced, if the residents will all be of a certain age but very well and not have any dementia or not have any issues or handicaps in any way that would make safety a concern for them with that intersection of the traffic on Adams.
I think they're all going to be tethered, aren't they? No.
Very
The
well.
ones without cars.
Those without cars.
It's not our intention to have the community fenced.
The berm's pretty high though, isn't it?
We're going to agree, we may have at strategic points where we have some architectural fencing. That'll tie into some safety issues, but they should be very de minimis. We don't have plans for memory care here. They'll be pretty de minimis.